Howdy folks, it's Sage with the Hunting Gear Guy. I didn't really want to make an election video, but I think this is it. And I wanted to talk about what's going to happen, what's likely to happen right now. Maybe just to, I don't know, change some of your minds out there. So this election coming up, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's the most important election ever. And I think for most people, that's just not true. Like, if you realistically look at Carney versus Pierre, I don't know, Carney's running a lot of Pierre's economic ideas. He's going like pretty far to the right for the Liberal Party. And similarly for Pierre, like, I don't know, Carney's adopting his policies. They're not that bad. There's not going to be blood in the streets if either of these candidates win. I think they're both. And then the more important thing for a lot of people out there, they worry about this Trump thing. They think this guy's going to be better, that guy's going to be better. Carney's going to be better because he's an economic guy and he's got all this banking background. Or Pierre's going to be better because, he's, can argue with Trump on a more, ideological basis that's similar to him. Who knows? I think this is actually a roll of the dice. I think people saying like, oh, this guy's going to be better are full of shit. It's a roll of the dice. Trump's super random. You can't predict this stuff. You can't predict what he's going to do. So I think I think that part's tough, and I think that it's not the most important election ever if that's your basis on it, because they're both whoever wins is going to get in. They're going to renegotiate CUSMA or whatever trade deal we have with the U.S. and that's it. And then I don't know. Trudeau could have done any of this stuff if he wanted to, right? Eliminating the carbon tax. You guys see what it did to the price of gas and your bills and that kind of thing. At any time, he could have just removed that, but he didn't, and we had to wait for someone else to get in to remove all these bad ideas of the Liberal Party from the last 10 years. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking about politics. Let's talk about what's going to happen if Carney gets in, because some of this stuff, and I've kind of broken up a couple of different things where I'm thinking. I had like a for sure, maybe, and then another rarely. And I had to take the rarely out because a lot of what's happening right now is pretty extreme on the gun confiscation and the gun laws that they're drafting, putting in place, talking about. And I think that it's just really hard to say that anything's off the table. So let's talk about the for sure things. What's for sure going to happen? So for sure, one thing: gun confiscation of some kind. There's a new amnesty for those new guns that were banned in December last year. That new amnesty is like October 2025. It's coming up pretty quickly. They have the amnesty. They have the buyback program in place for businesses. They have purchased firearms from some businesses. Maybe those businesses were, going out of business. Maybe that's why they compensated them. They haven't, seized those firearms. They haven't compensated anyone just yet. For the firearms that they're going to be confiscating, some of them they're going to pay for, and some of them they're not. And I can't imagine they're going to be paying for any accessories. So for gun owners out there that have some of these affected guns, you may or may not get any money for your firearms that the government decides are illegal. They might just say you have to turn them in. Now, how's that turn-in going to work? Oh, it's still lots of stuff to do on there. The Canada Post says they don't want them. They don't want to be taking those in. They don't want the risk of it. Most cops are saying they don't want to be going door to door. I'd say most, because in Quebec the premier there was saying that they'll go. Sorry, not premier. I'm misremembering. No, that was Dominic LeBlanc was saying that these cops are going to go door to door and confiscate these things, and that's how they're going to do it there. Regardless. They've drafted some agreements with some municipal police forces to skip the province altogether, where the provinces aren't that cooperative. So yeah, we'll see what's going to happen with this. But that is for sure one of the things that's going to go through is gun confiscation for any of these prohibited firearms, which there's a lot of. There's a lot of prohibited firearms. The next thing that's going to happen is magazine restrictions. So they said in this December presser, no later than March, they're going to put these magazine restrictions, these new magazine restrictions in. But then Justin's popularity cratered, and they had to prorogue Parliament, and it was a big emergency because Trump was getting in. But let's just stop all the work and make sure that we can get the right person in place. Magazine restrictions. So we don't actually know specifically what this is going to be, but they've said that the long gun magazines must be brought down so that they can't ever ever fit more cartridges than they're made for. So think of your tube magazine, shotguns, tube magazine, 22s, and that kind of thing. All of those tubes are going to have to be chopped down. And you think like, oh, that's ridiculous. That's they wouldn't be asking for that. They'd be asking just for the semi-automatic centerfire rifles, right? But if you look at countries like Australia and some of the other countries that have enacted stuff like this, they chop the mags. They, rather than that 10-round mag on their 303 Enfield, they chop it down to 5, so it can't fit any more than 10, no matter what. No removing pin or anything like that. That can't be a possibility anymore. So chopping those mags. So think about your 30-30s, your 22s, your shotguns, if they're a little bit longer on the magazine. Yeah, that magazine chop's coming. That was supposed to come in. That was supposed to be enacted in March here, but they had bigger priorities. So with an election, if Carney wins, that's going to be coming through. One thing that's coming in, and it's really hard to tell how far they're going to go into it, is reviewing of firearms classifications. So they said they're going to review firearms classifications, and yeah, I guess. Like right now we have non-restricted, restricted, and prohibited, but what's in restricted anymore? Kind of the handguns, but kind of not. Like you can't buy them anymore. Prohibited, I mean, we're not really, like a lot of those prohibited firearms are getting seized this time around, right? They're going to be confiscated with or without payment. So you're not going to have, like, there's not going to be a point in having prohibited licenses. So this may, like, it's hard to tell what they're going to do with this classification. I don't think I'm going to be happy with any which way that they redo the classification, the Liberals in charge at least. But yeah, review of the firearms classification. I'll talk a little bit in the maybes around what they might be doing here, but for sure they're going to review that classification. Another for sure, and this one was just announced today, Police Souvien said that they're going to be working, and keep in mind, they're not working with the Liberal government. They're in the Liberal government. They are the Liberal government now because their spokesperson, Provost, is now a Liberal MP, well, running as a Liberal MP in a very safe riding. So she's going to get in. So they said that they're going to work to ban the SKS, and that's going to likely also include like other semi-automatic clip-fed rifles like your M1 Garand and a bunch of other old, like World War I, World War II, like 40s, 50s eras firearms, as well as closing the exemption for Olympic handgun shooters. So in Canada, you couldn't buy handguns unless you're a business or like a Brinks truck driver, or you were an Olympic handgun shooter. You could buy handguns for that kind of thing. They're closing that exemption, which didn't affect me, but at the same time, like I would be cheesed if I was trying to get into the Olympics. And like, how are we supposed to compete if they can't buy these kinds of firearms? Anyways, okay, those are the ones that I think for sure are going to happen. For sure, Carney gets in 4 years, majority, or even a minority, because the NDP supports this stuff and the Bloc supports this stuff as well. Even under a minority, they could get all of this stuff done. And it is stuff that they said that they're going to do. Now let's talk about stuff that they haven't said that they're going to do, but that they're signaling that they might be doing. And one of them is a further ban under the Australian-style rapid fire moniker. So in Australia, they don't just have like semi-auto. It's like rapid fire stuff gets banned. So think about your like pump shotguns, lever actions, that kind of thing. Rapid fire. I'm not pulling this out of my butt. Rachel Bendian, I think is what her name is. She mentioned in the February announcement, I'm going to use her quote exactly. The firearms we're banning today are semi-automatic firearms with sustained rapid fire capability. Sustained rapid fire capability. So they're not using this assault style weapon anymore because they banned them all. Everything that fits that new made up definition. And now they're starting to talk about rapid fire. Well, rapid fire is, and the other thing that she said is, experts have told us that they exceed safe civilian use, whatever the fuck that means. The only other country that I'm aware of that uses like this rapid fire style is Australia. And Australia has a whole other, like beyond Canada, like extremely restrictive regimen on banning firearms by purpose. So you get like different classification based on what you need to do with the firearms, and that's it. So further restrictions, like very, very more restrictive. And the other thing that may happen, the other thing this federal government has been doing is they don't talk about target shooting anymore. in the past, if you looked at legislation and pressers and that kind of thing, they would say like, these firearms are for hunters and sport shooters, right? Those are acceptable reasons for owning a firearm by a civilian in Canada. The target shooter is, they haven't been mentioning that for about 4 or 5 years now. It's just gone from the lexicon, which is concerning. And then when you see like, oh, this restriction, now they're just using like this Australian style language on firearms. Are they going to be restricting firearms based on purpose? Which is kind of like that could be a possibility, right? So, for example, you're a civilian. Oh, you want to buy some firearms? What's the purpose of your buying firearms? Target shooting is not an allowed purpose, only hunting. Now, what kind of firearms are you allowed to use? Well, only the firearms that are only for that, right? So you can buy the camo bolt action centerfire rifle for hunting deer, and you can buy maybe a pump action or maybe an over under or break action or something like that for your ducks and geese, and that's it. You're not going to get anything that's I don't know, higher performance than the minimum required for doing the task. So no semi-autos. You don't need a semi-auto for ducks and geese, just a pump. Or you don't need a pump. You can use an over-under, or you can use a bolt-action shotgun or something like that. Again, their use of this language is not an accident. They're using this on purpose, and they're signaling what they're doing next. The whole like assault-style weapon, they signaled it, they used it, and now they're all banned, and now they're starting to talk about rapid fire, and rapid fire is pretty ambiguous and allows them to ban whatever they want to. Yeah, so I just throwing a couple of maybes in here. I don't want to get too speculative on what might happen, because it's hard to predict this stuff, and it doesn't really make sense to. I don't think it makes sense to speculate a lot. I'm looking more closely at what are for sure's, what's for sure going to happen. So for sure, this is going to make like casual, like hobbyist use of firearms very painful. If you think about like what people use firearms for, a lot of people use them for hunting and use them once a year, and that's it. They're not like ardent hobbyists. They use them once a year when they go hunting. That's most people out there. Some people, sport shooters, make good use of their firearms, and they're very, pretty adamant about protecting their rights and that kind of thing. That group of people might be reduced quite a bit. Like when the AR ban happened in 2020, I saw in my sport 3-gun a substantial reduction in the number of people who were going to shoot it. Before, we would have at my local club, we would sell out like big matches in 5 minutes. You had to like line up and make sure you're like refreshing and you registered in time. After the ban, I'm not sure if we sell these things out anymore, because people like had their competition firearms banned, and they're like, and some people just don't want to buy replacements. Some people bought replacements, and then those get banned and get banned and keep getting banned. So we're continuing to see people just throwing in the towel on this, just getting to the point where they don't want to play this game anymore of playing chicken with the government on, oh, well, they said this one's okay, I'll buy that. Oh, now it's not okay. Now that scary looking shotgun is actually an AR variant. It's that's the justification the RCMP gave for banning some shotguns, some 22s. They said they're assault weapons. It's ridiculous. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen, and that's causing a lot of people to get out of the sports. It's also for anyone out there who has been feeling pretty confident, like, they're not going to ban my guns. Your buffer is gone. All these guns and gun owners that were kind of a buffer between, the grabbers and you, they're out of there. There's not really much left. There's no guns between. There's no scary looking guns in between the gun grabbers and you might think it's a hunting rifle, but it's actually a sniper rifle is what they're going to frame it as. And just making life a pain in the ass for you, right? Making it pain in the ass, making you cut down your mags for no good reason, making you chop your tubes, chop down your 303 Enfield magazines and all this kind of stuff. So this is greatly going to threaten those people out there who own firearms and want to continue owning them. And the other thing that I wanted to mention here, the long gun registry, that was pretty painful to reverse. That was a painful bit of legislation for anyone who had to live through it. Like, oh my God, imagine calling up every time you wanted to sell a firearm to someone, calling, waiting on hold for 30 minutes, getting through, talking to the person, get a reference code, give it to the guy who's buying the firearm. They got to call in, wait 30 minutes on hold. Like it was a total pain in the ass. And that thing took that was a painful bit of legislation to reverse, but we finally reversed it. Legislation is hard to reverse once it's in place. I think you can look at Canada has a ban, believe it or not, on like throwing stars, nunchucks. Like you can get a samurai sword, you can have that, but no nunchucks. It's wild the stuff that we have banned because it was banned in like the 70s or 80s. There's too many ninja movies that some legislator watched late at night one time, and they got banned all this stuff. And those bans stuck around. They're still here today. We still have this silly legislation. It's hard to get rid of bad laws. And if you look at today, the stuff that we've got coming in and the stuff that we've got in right now, that stuff's going to stick. It's going to stick right now. So that's my predictions. If you are in an area where your vote matters, get out there and vote for a party that's not going to strip your firearms rights away from you. I know that people think that, Carney is going to be this big bad defense against Trump. I don't think anyone is. I think Trump will just do whatever the hell he wants to. I think it's more important this time around to keep our firearms rights. They're gone after this. After this, we're going to have a couple of bolt action rifles and pump shotguns and that kind of thing. It's going to be it. There's going to be no buffer between us and the grabbers, and it's going to it's not going to. It's already very quickly sliding down this slope. So by all means, get out there and vote. Thanks for watching.